The simple linear regression allows us to quantify the effect of an independent variable, okay, on the dependent variable. It allows us to quantify the impact of independent variable on the dependent variable. Okay, so you see that the two key words here are independent and dependent. Okay, so you have to make sure that you get things right from the outset. So what do I mean by that? So suppose I want to estimate the impact of age on income. Okay, so I want to know how age affects someone's income. Then income is going to be the dependent variable. Okay, and I'm going to have an alpha, the beta, age plus error. Okay, so the dependent variable is always on the left hand side, okay, which in this case is income, and the independent variable is always on the right hand side, which is age. All right, good. Now in this model we specified there are two key coefficients, okay, that we're interested in. Okay, so there are two key coefficients we want to know. And the first is the alpha, which is the intercept. Okay? And the second thing we care about is the beta, which is the slope. Okay? So these are the two things we really need to estimate. So what do they mean? So if you want to understand the meaning of the intercept, okay, what you're going to do is set the independent variable to be 0, okay? So if we make age to be 0, then income becomes alpha, okay? So alpha is the value of the dependent, okay? So if independent is 0, okay? So if we set the independent variable to 0, okay, then the income becomes the alpha, all right? Yeah, so in this case, if we are to interpret, okay, so if someone's age is 0, okay, the person is going to be earning alpha dollars, okay? Now sometimes the estimate you have can make sense, but there are cases where it wouldn't really make sense, okay? And this is one of those situations where it doesn't make sense, all right? So let's take a closer look at what is going on here. So if your age is 0, what does it mean? Well, it means that the person is still a newborn, okay? And if the person is a newborn, why would they be earning a positive wage, okay? So you see that in this situation, it doesn't really make any sense, okay? If this alpha turns out to be a positive number, all right? But I mean, there are also cases where you can have something meaningful, all right? So the situation would be, suppose we regress income, okay, on the years of education, okay? So if we regress income on the years of education, and this time the intercept is going to be something sensible, all right? So it means that if your years of education is 0, okay, if you haven't undergone any education at all, you're going to be earning an income level of alpha, okay? That makes sense, okay? Because in every country, there are people out there that are able to find a job even though they have 0 education, okay? So the only thing is that such wage that obtains is going to be significantly lower, okay, to what applies to people that have the relevant education. All right. So you see that in this case, it is meaningful. All right. Now the next is the slope. That is the second thing we care about. All right. And how can you find it? Okay, you just need to take the derivative of the dependent variable, okay, with respect to the independent variable, right? So you need to take the derivative of the dependent variable with respect to the independent variable. That's what is going to give you the slope, okay? So this is basically calculus, all right? And what does the derivative tell us, all right? So this means we're trying to find by how much income is going to change if age changes by 1 year, okay? So that's just what we're trying to do here. So in this case, it means it's going to tell us by how much income is going to change if someone's age changes by 1 year, all right? So it's important that as you're interpreting things, always ensure to keep the unit of measurements, okay? So the unit of measurements have to be there. So what do I mean? So if I want to interpret this, I would say that, okay, that if someone's age, okay, changes by 1 year, because the unit of measurement of age is year, number of years, okay? So if someone's age changes by 1 year, their income is going to change by beta dollars, okay? So always ensure to keep the unit of measurement in your interpretation, all right? That's good. So like I said, it's important for you to identify what is the dependent and what is independent variable, okay? Because that's what ensures that you're placing things where they should be, okay? So the dependent is always on the left and independent is always on the right, okay? Now, if I flip things and I put age here and I make income the independent, then I'm estimating something totally different, okay? So let's give it a try. So suppose I now make age to be the dependent and I'm regressing an alpha beta income, okay? Plus the error, okay? Now in this case, it means I want to know how someone's income, okay, affects their age, which if you ask me, it is something irrelevant, okay? It doesn't make any sense, okay? So income can't affect your age because whether or not you have income, all right, you will still continue to advance in age, okay? You will still continue to advance in age. So someone that has a zero income will still continue to advance in age, all right? So income doesn't really affect age. So if you ask me, all right, so you see that if you flip things, then you're just estimating something meaningless, right? So that's why from the outset you need to ensure you know what is your dependent variable and what is the independent variable, right? Then in the model, another thing that is particularly important is the error term, okay? It is the error term. So this error represents all other factors, okay, that affects income, okay, which we didn't include in the model. So in this case, the only independent variable we have is age, okay? But of course, there's so many other factors that affect someone's income, okay? So for instance, your years of education, okay, obviously affects your income, all right? Then another thing that also affects income is IQ, okay? So if you have a high IQ, then you're able to, to acquire wealth way more than someone with a lesser IQ, all right? Now, research has also been shown that height, okay, is also a factor that affects income. So specifically, people that have higher height than the others tend to earn higher income. Okay, and then there is also the gender. There is gender. So in economics literature, we're always talking about gender wage gap. Okay, so the idea that men on average tend to earn more than women. Okay, so you see that gender is also a factor that affects income. But the point is, there are so many of them, all right? But we didn't include them in this model. We only focus on age. So all those omitted variables are going to go into the error term, okay? So So of course you see that the more the omitted variables you didn't include, then the higher the value of the error that you're going to have here, all right? But the more of these omitted components you add to the model, then the lesser the error that you're going to make, all right? So yeah, so that's pretty much it about regression. So in the next class, what I'm going to do is to now show us how you can specifically estimate the value of alpha and the beta, okay? And also there are specific assumptions that have to hold for you to, have such estimates. So those are the things we're going to do in the next class.